Hi, I'm from an alternate universe. I moved here, and when I observe your world, I don't see a civilization. I see a simulation running on low power. I scroll through your X, I open your YouTube, I glance at your comment sections, and I realize I've landed in a place where facts are treated like junk mail. You know they exist, but you just keep hitting delete without reading. In this universe, logic isn't a foundation, it's just a suggestion, something you ignore like terms and conditions on a software update. You aren't looking for truth, you're looking for someone to tell you that your anger is justified. People are screaming, deplatform him, take his channel down. And I am sitting here thinking, since when did censorship become the protein shake for weak intellect? Now, let's settle this before your emotions start doing a Nagin dance. Welcome. In this universe, we've developed a special kind of allergy. An allergy to being proven wrong. Whenever someone's logic collapses like a cheap folding chair, the solution isn't to build a better argument. No. The solution is ban him. People are screaming to deplatform him, delete the channel, save our souls from the bad man with the green screen. Why? When did your conviction become so fragile that a guy with a webcam and a diluted sense of history became a threat to your existence? If your worldview can be destroyed by a 20-minute video, maybe the problem isn't the video. Maybe the problem is that your foundation is made of a wet cardboard and WhatsApp university forwards. ये कौन सा मल्टीवर्स है जहाँ स्टुपिडिटी का इलाज censorship है? If we actually start banning everyone for being wrong, the internet would be a graveyard. It would just be 3 cat videos, a recipe for dal makhani, and a Wikipedia page for common sense that nobody visits because it's not trending. He should not be banned. Not today, not tomorrow. Not even if he tries to convince you that gravity is a Western conspiracy. Why? Because the moment you ban an idiot, you don't remove the idiocy. You just turn the idiot into a martyr. You give him the forbidden fruit status. You're not protecting anyone. You're just admitting that you're too lazy to think and too emotional to argue. So let's settle this before your emotions start doing a full-blown Nagin dance on the ruins of your IQ. We aren't here to silence a man. We are here to witness a self-inflicted intellectual car crash. And trust me, the footage is in 4K. We need to talk about Brandenburg Standard. It's the gold standard of law, primarily because it assumes something radical, something almost mythical for an average viewer. That you have a brain. I know. It's a bold assumption. Looking at the ban him hashtags, I'm clearly being too optimistic. But Brandenburg officially says being a liar is legal, being a jerk is legal, being a complete and utter embarrassment to the species is perfectly legal. Why is it important? Because it stops the government from becoming your HR department. Without Brandenburg, the offense police would be busier than a delivery guy on a Diwali. You'd be arrested for a 1-star review of a cold samosa because halwa felt emotionally targeted. If you want to live in a world where feelings hurt equal jail time, congratulations, you're not a patriot. You're just a toddler in an adult's body. Under this standard, for speech to be legal, it needs 3 things to happen at once. All 3. It's a logical trifecta. Pay attention. I'll use small words so that the logically malnourished can keep up. Intent. If I say leaders are actually lizards from 4th dimension and we need a revolution, Brandenburg says, let him cook. Why? Because it's abstract advocacy. It's spicy poetry for people who wear tinfoil hats. Unless I'm handing out weapons, it's just me shouting at a cloud. And in this universe, shouting at clouds is a human right, even if the cloud is cringing at my lack of social life. Now, Let's explain imminence. The law isn't there to protect your feelings from a bad idea, it's there to stop a fire. To understand this, you'll need to understand the difference between a prediction and a stampede. Think of it like this: if I stand in the middle of a crowded market and scream, "One day the fish will be free for everyone, a revolution of seas is coming," am I a criminal? No, I'm just a guy who had a bit too much sun. Why? Because one day is not now. One day is what you tell your parents when they ask you to start studying. The law only wakes up when later becomes this second. If I say fish market is unfair, that's a YouTube commentary. If I say we should protest the fish market next Sunday, that's a plan. But if I stand at the gates of a market, point at the locks, and shout to a hungry crowd, "The gates are open, sab machli free, abhi chalo," that is imminence. At that point, the time for debate is over. The violence is happening in next few minutes. Brandenburg tells the state, unless the abhi chalo is actually causing a riot now, leave that idiot alone. Even if I tell you to do something stupid, is it likely to actually happen? If I tell a group of kittens to go rob a bank, am I a criminal? No, I'm just a guy who needs a psychiatric evaluation. So, when you scream ban him because his logic is dangerous, you're making a massive confession. You're admitting that you have zero self control. You're saying, I am so intellectually fragile that if this man with the yellow subtitles tell me moon is closer to earth than an airplane, I will immediately go and get a gun to try and shoot it down. Brandenburg is a parental control lock for the government. It tells them just because you don't like his face, his hair, or his 40-minute rant about nothing doesn't mean you get to use the handcuffs. It protects the geniuses, sure, but its real job, its real dirty, thankless job, it protects the right of every person in this alternate universe to be a grade A certified moron. But let's be honest, why are we so obsessed with this? Why does every video feel like a battle for the soul of the nation? We are treating an idiot's opinion like a national threat when we should be treating it like a mechanical failure. Look at the leaps he makes. Look at the way he connects dots that aren't even on the same map. He isn't dangerous, he's just malfunctioning. Think of it like one of those protests we see every year these days. There are loud slogans, drums, flags, people shouting into the microphones. From far away, it looks like a revolution. But when you stop and ask a simple question, what is the actual demand? There is silence. No policy, no outcome, no end goal. Just noise. That's what's happening here. The volume makes it feel serious. The anger makes it feel important. But there is no direction, no movement, no destination. You're not watching a dangerous movement. You're just watching people shouting in a circle. Why be serious about a protest that doesn't even know what it wants? This is the part that makes people uncomfortable. I may not agree with a single word that comes out of his mouth. I may find his logic incoherent, lazy, even absurd. But I will defend without hesitation his right to say it. People keep shouting you banned Pakistani YouTubers, so why not ban him? He's quote unquote anti national. Here's the part they don't like hearing. He may be an idiot, but he's our idiot, our nonsense. And in this universe, if we start banning people for intellectual incompetence, the streets would be empty. I don't defend his right to speak because he is correct. I defend it because it is the only way I can protect my right to tell him he's wrong. You see, I am not defending him, I am defending the mirror. Because the moment you silence the idiot, you lose the ability to see how many people were ready to follow him anyway. He is not a threat, he is a diagnostic, a litmus test for our collective reasoning. And right now, the result is deeply uncomfortable. Have you ever wondered why people, many of whom have actual degrees, willingly swallow arguments that collapse the moment you touch them? It's because of a very modern magic trick. I call it the stock footage illusion. Let me explain it in a way your universe understands. Think of a real estate brochure. The building looks stunning. Drone shots, soft piano music, children running on green lawns, birds chirping. Everything is in slow motion. Nowhere does it show you the traffic outside, the water tanker schedule, the 3 year delay, or the fact that the garden view is actually a parking lot. But because the visuals feel premium, your brain assumes the logic must be premium too. Same thing happens with arguments. If I tell you something stupid plainly, you'll reject it instantly. But if I say the same thing while showing high definition stock footage, dramatic background music, and clean yellow subtitles, suddenly it feels researched. That's the trick. You're not evaluating the argument, you're reacting to production quality. You aren't watching analysis, you're watching a well edited brochure for ideas. And just like real estate ads, the people who fall for it don't lack intelligence, they lack friction. This is the low IQ trap of the digital age, not ignorance. Comfort. Reading is slow, thinking is uncomfortable. A cinematic video lets you feel informed without doing either. Brings us to the core of the problem. Think of his videos like an archaeological dig. To get to a single verifiable fact, you have to first shovel through 10 feet of cinematic drone shots of forests, 10 feet of I'm just asking questions smugness, 10 feet of selective historical amnesia, and 20 feet of pure unadulterated ego. By the time you get through that 50 feet of crap, you're too exhausted to realize that the fact at the bottom is actually a tweet he read 5 minutes before filming. It's a layer of insulation. It's designed to protect the nutritionally deficient brain from cold, hard wind of a counter argument. You aren't being informed, you're being buried in a high resolution aesthetic noise. Then we hit the peak, the Mount Everest of confidence over intelligence. He actually said, with a straight face and a professional grade green screen, that because the Indian government officially stated we don't have spies in Pakistan, it must be true. My, when I heard that, my brain didn't just circle. It performed a triple backflip into a bucket of pure, unrefined despair. I want you to pause and think about the level of logic we are dealing with here. What exactly did you expect the official statement to be? Did you expect a press release? Subject: Update on Ramesh. Yes, Ramesh is currently in Islamabad. He lives at house number 4. His favorite tea stall is around the corner. And here is his Aadhaar card number, just in case ISI wants to verify his biometrics. Is that the world you live in? It's an anatomical miracle. It truly is. Everyone has a brain, well, technically. At least that's what the biology books tell us. But in this case, we found a new geological formation. There is a solid 50 feet of absolute unrefined crap, followed by a layer of stock footage, and then maybe, just maybe, his brain. It's like watching a 5 year old play hide and seek by covering his own eyes and screaming, if I can't see you, you can't see me. Except here, the 5 year old has millions of subscribers, a high quality microphone, and an audience that thinks government denial is a synonym for the absolute truth. And for the followers in the comments supporting this, I've been scanning the data, logic, and horizon for a single sign of a functioning neuron. No, no brain at all. Just a hollow echo chamber where the only thing bouncing around is the sound of his last upload. You aren't watching a deep dive. You're watching an intellectual shipwreck, and you're all cheering from the lifeboats while the ship is upside down. And now we have to talk about the enablers. You, the audience. Let's be real. A creator is only as brilliant as the people who keep clicking.
I see the system fought the army in the comments. I see the bots and the fans screaming Dhruv is king. It's a fascinating psychological phenomenon. We live in a country where average IQ is apparently struggling to clear the height of a speed breaker. And yet, here you are, feeling like a geopolitical expert because you watched a video. You aren't learning. You're having your biases massaged by a man who sounds like he knows what he's talking about because he uses words like technically and empirical every 3 minutes. If someone speaks fast enough and the background music is dramatic enough, your brain just gives up and says, "Ha, sahi to bol raha hoga." You aren't watching a video. You're walking into a free buffet of smart sounding garbage. You're customers of a confidence store. He isn't selling you the truth. He's selling you the feeling of being smart without the actual work of being smart. You think you're being rebellious or anti system? You're actually just a data point in an algorithm that figured out what to show. You don't want facts, you want a bedtime story that confirms your existing anger. And in this alternate universe, he is the best storyteller you've got, and it's tragic, really. Watching millions of people make mistake, and they mistake confidence for competence. And it is like watching people cheer for a pilot who doesn't know how to land but has a very shiny uniform. There's an old saying, very old, very cruel. It is better to keep your mouth shut and be thought an idiot than to open it and remove all doubt. He had a choice. He could have stayed in the shadows of vague analysis and let us wonder. But he chose to open his mouth wide and in 4K resolution. And now there is no doubt left. None at all. And now, for the ritual. If your IQ successfully cleared the speed breaker threshold today and you actually understood why Brandenburg is more important than your feelings, congratulations, you're a part of the minority. To prove that you aren't just a bot running on diluted ideas diet, you know what to do. Click the like button. Think of it as a digital donation to save our logic fund. Comment below, but only if you can do it without using more than 3 exclamation marks or the word system. I'm looking for actual sentences, people. Let's try to form a coherent thought together. And that bell icon, hit it if you want to be notified the next time I decide to shovel through another 50 feet of crap to find a single fact. It's a dirty job, but someone has to keep the alternate universe clock in check. Share this video with someone who thinks government official statements are the absolute truth. It won't change their mind, let's be real. They need more protein for that, but it might at least give their remaining 2 brain cells something to argue about.